Our research group previous to the University of Wisconsin also conducted a more detailed analysis of multiple domains of neurocognition following whole brain radiotherapy for patients with brain metastases. And again, we too observed a decline in Hopkins Verbal Learning Test up to 4 months. But what we observed was interesting. None of the other domains of neurocognitive functioning, such as the trail-making test, the pegboard, or executive functioning, were ever impacted by whole brain radiotherapy, seeming to suggest that memory-related domains of neurocognition may be differentially sensitive to the effects of cranial radiation, and that this is an early effect of cranial radiation occurring up to 4 months after treatment. So the question arises, why is it that the memory-related domains are so exquisitely sensitive to the effects of cranial radiation? And a potential plausible answer may come from the decades of neuroscience research with respect to the hippocampus. And this research began with this seminal case study, a gentleman by the name of Mr. H.N., who in 1957 was diagnosed with severe medically refractory epilepsy. And for this condition, he underwent a fairly pronounced significant surgical procedure. He had a bilateral medial temporal lobectomy, meaning his bilateral mesial temporal lobes were resected, including his hippocampi. This procedure actually led to a profound improvement in his epilepsy management for the remainder of his life. He actually passed away only 60 years ago. But interestingly, it led to an immediate development of amnesia, an impairment in his ability to remember any facts and events that occurred throughout the remainder of his life. Interestingly, the procedure did not have any impact on his ability to remember any facts or events that occurred prior to the procedure, nor did it have any effect on other elements of neurocognition, such as perception, intelligence, and motor skill learning. So this seminal case study actually spawned quite a bit of research with respect to hippocampal physiology and its relevance to memory-related formation. And the following two observations were made. Number one, the hippocampus, as I mentioned, is one of the two most active sites of ongoing neurogenesis within the adult human brain, and that hippocampal neurogenesis is quite vital to memory-related functioning. And importantly, as demonstrated by Dr. Michelle Manji and colleagues at Stanford University, the hippocampus is, the neurostem cell compartment within the hippocampal dentate gyrus is quite exquisitely sensitive to the effects of cranial radiation. This was a preclinical experiment done in the rodent model, where a single fraction of 8-gray radiotherapy was delivered to the brain, and the rodents were sacrificed several days later. And what they observed was that as compared to the mice who did not receive radiation, radiotherapy actually led to a significant decline in neurogenesis within the hippocampus, almost a 97% reduction up to 2 months after cranial radiation. And this decline in neurogenesis actually led to an impairment of hippocampal-dependent memory-related functioning. This is an experiment called a Morris water maze, where a mouse is actually placed in the center of a water bath and are timed as to how long it takes the mouse to swim to a pedestal upon which they raise themselves out of the water, and that time is finished at that point.